small. There better be some small-ass people coming to my show. The best way to make money as an independent artist is to push the hell out of whatever product you have. Touring is not lucrative when you're an opening act. You better be loving what you're doing because you're not doing it for the money. I'm Fancy Hagood. I am a queer country icon from Nashville, Tennessee. If you can imagine, I've always been, not always been fancy, but I've always been this fabulous.
Oh, baby, I'm a mess, 'cause these tears keep falling. I'm wishing you the best, hope you're happier now. It's heavy on my chest, 'cause I love you, darling. I'm 2 steps up, then I'm right back down.
I've always sang. It's always been my passion. It's always been in my head that that's what I wanted to do for as long as I can remember. I've wanted to be a singer.
For many independent artists, merchandise is a key pillar in their financial strategy. But for Fancy Hagood, it's the entire foundation. Selling merch isn't as glamorous as it seems. But the truth is, merch is often what makes touring possible. And for many artists, it's the difference between sustaining a career or having to step away. And while Fancy isn't personally shipping every order, he's far more hands-on with the merch business than most fans would expect.
I worked at Forever 21 when I first came out of the closet. And I always joke that some people come out of the closet. I burst out of mine riding a unicorn. And at Forever 21, there was a manager that would call me Fancy because of the Drake song. You fancy, huh? Your hair's done, nails done, everything's did. And that was me. It made me feel really empowered. I'd been in Nashville at that point for a couple years. I was performing all over town, not having a lot of success. And then a year later, I had my first show at the High Watt. And it was like a crazy, wild thing. It was sold out. And from there, it was just kind of like word of mouth. I would say my big break came when one of my publishers out of LA helped me do a showcase at Hotel Cafe. I got offered a record deal and management deal on the spot.
Just an old soul to leave this town. Getting so high that it can't come down.
Being an independent artist is not very easy financially. It's been really stressful. It's been really kind of a chaotic piece of the puzzle.
We're talking 0.03 cents or less a stream versus $40 to $50 for one piece of merch. That's a pretty drastic difference, just from a numbers standpoint. So yeah, I think merch is definitely one of those things where if you can do it well, it's a great way to make money. I think it's a great way to kind of build that connection with your fans.
A lot of people don't take into consideration everything you're having to spend money on the road. So if you're going with a band, you're having to pay all those players. You're oftentimes having to take a vehicle large enough to take all of those players and your backline. So now we're talking about a Sprinter van, which is not cheap to rent. And then you're talking about hotels for everyone. Now you've been booked to go to Europe. How sexy is that? It's sexy. But now you're looking at plane tickets for yourself or anyone going with you. Merch can be a really, really valuable tool to keep you on the road, to keep you touring, to keep you returning to these cities, to grow your audience. It's invaluable. It's really necessary. And before I leave, I can't not ask you to go over there and look at my gorgeous merch. It's right next to Orville's gorgeous merch. But Orville has more money than me, so look at mine. I actually worked with a designer named Megan Phillips, and she actually helped me design all of my original merch. In the pandemic, we just got on the phone and talked through what I wanted for my brand. I obviously wanted it to feel warm and inviting, and I also wanted it to feel really impactful as far as being a queer artist. I wanted representation for queer people, so we decided on the rainbow coloring of the letters. When she sent it over, it just really spoke to me, and it's just kind of always been what we've gone with. It always comes back to the tried and true red ringer.
Because streaming has impacted revenue of artists in a big way, that's where ticketing, touring, and merch become really critical, because it's one of the ways that you can self-sustain or pay your bills or pay your team. Tour merch in particular is really important. And the reason I say that is because when you showed up at a concert and you experienced a moment, you want a memento to take away. You get to obviously take away the memory, but the physical takeaway is the merch that I showed up and I had a place in that moment.
The more questions you have people asking, the better. So what's this fancy thing? What's this about? And then you're getting to talk about that. And it just creates this connection with someone who has no connection to why you're there. So for me, it's really nice to have merch that, although that is my name, just like plastered on the center, that could mean 1,000 different things to 1,000 different people. Something I always notice is clothes that just had one word on it, whether that be on the, on the shirt or on the ass of sweatpants, like those sold a lot. So I think you just need to think about accessibility and how can you hand deliver your brand in a really seamless, uncomplicated way to someone who's being introduced to your music or you for the first time.
While Fancy has a clear strategy for reaching audiences through merch, that doesn't mean there aren't obstacles. Manufacturing, shipping, placement, and sometimes union venues. In certain theatres, artists aren't even allowed to sell their own products. Union labour has to run the table. That can mean staffing minimums, extra fees, or a percentage off the top. And just like that, a big night can shrink fast.
We were making upwards to, 2,000 pounds if I'm out there slinging my own merch versus like 150.
Yeah.
150 pounds at a 5,000 sold out London show. It's like, make that make sense.
Oftentimes it was like in a weird location. You don't have, again, like the fan experience.
Or they have you buried under the main artist's merch.
Yeah. I mean, and when you're making you're losing money by what you're getting paid to be out there touring anyways. It's like, I mean, you know this, but especially for this tour, how expensive it is for him to get over to the UK. Merch sales are everything, but at the end of it, do we come back with a little money in the pocket or do we come back in the red?
The unglamorous side of merchandise is, I found this out the hard way in the UK. There's sometimes where there's concessions that force you to turn in your merch to them and then they sell it for you, which for me takes away that fan experience. It takes away, people coming up wanting to support you. And I'm talking $800 to $1,000 differences when this is happening. And, on the road for me, that kind of money takes me a long way. I like to find out in advance where I can and can't sell my own merch. And if I can't sell my own merch in a venue, I will park my fat ass outside that venue and sling my merch from the back of a van. It's not possible if I'm not able to offset the cost of what it takes to tour by selling merch. And I do not appreciate these companies that come in and take that ability away from me.
All right, let's get a few of you just doing the whole thing, the harmony.
And a few words too scared to speak. If you're looking for love, never tell me, 'cause too proud of you to give a shit about me.
So I'm at the merch booth, slinging the merch, shaking hands, taking the pictures, kissing babies, because I'm about that bag. And I actually learned this from my late mentor, Leslie Jordan. We would be out to eat or walking down the street or whatever, and someone would stop him. They'd want the photo, they'd want the autograph, they would want the Leslie Jordan experience. And I asked him, I was like, do you ever get tired of that, having to just be on all the time? And he said, honey, I'll be tired when I have to be off. And he's like, these people pay our bills. And it really was eye-opening to me, because it's okay, these people are why I'm here. They came for the Fancy experience, they're gonna get it.
For Fancy, the merch isn't separate from the story. It is the story. Because what he's selling isn't just a t-shirt. It's identity, it's humor, it's confidence. It's a world that looks and feels like him. And as a gay artist in country music, that kind of self-definition hasn't always been welcomed or understood. So underneath the business, there's something deeper. Fancy has built a career on his own terms and is making space for people who haven't always had a seat at the table.
My happiness is not tied to numbers on some suit's computer screen. What I'm doing, I hopefully will impact generations to come of people who have a story to tell, to make them feel seen and heard. And I know that that's what I'm doing. And so whether I'm number 29 on a chart, or whether I'm number 1, or if I never make it onto a chart ever again, I know that I'm forging a path for other people to come behind me and do something even bigger. I know that's possible because I sit at a table with people who think it's possible as well. So if you're sitting at a table where you're having to explain yourself, you're in the wrong seat. I'm no longer in the music industry. I'm in the Fancy Hagood industry, and that's it. Point blank period.